basically they're stringing up Sister Ray, and they're going to be trying to like torture her to get her to explain where all the radioactive peas are. And
Recording and the cloud. All right,
action.
going on, Jake.
Hey Kurt, welcome back everybody.
Yeah.
This episode is going to be a little bit of a catch up on our storyline that we're working on. This is Turbo Pit Fighter, a science fiction epic where there's a post-apocalyptic kind of ish landscape, and the pit fights are the big events of the day, or the big social happenings of the day. And we have our character here, Turbo Pit Fighter, and the Trophy Girl, and they're getting themselves into another fine mess every episode. Kurt, as you can see on the left, is inking issue number 1, and that's kind of like a little bit of an origin story. And well, it's all kind of like origin story because there's a lot of flashback. And I'm working on the pencils for issue 2. Um, and we are going through a storyline where the main character and the love interest are meeting each other in this gruesome, cruel world of pit fights and terrorists and berserkers and violence. And there's only one way to survive, and that's major ass kicking. So that that's it in a nutshell. But the particular story part that Kurt is working on, he's working on the a brutal pit fight between two big opponents that are hurting each other, killing each other. These pit fights are, pretty much to the death or maiming. um, and I think he's going to be coming up on the next page or two where the fights go wrong, and there's like a rigging, and somebody uses a blow dart to incapacitate one of the fighters. Then they get caught, and everything blows up, and everybody pulls out guns, starts killing each other in a mass shooting. And then Turbo tries to rescue the trophy girl, and the story progresses from there. I'm working on this scene here. This is where I'm at on issue 2. We have the checkpoint scene with the explosions, and everything, is in flashback here. This is young Turbo when she's not that muscular yet.
What page is that, Jake? Oh, you're going. Yeah, that was page
Yeah,
1.
this is gonna be page 1 probably if we open up on this. Unless we
Nice,
change the sequence, we can reserve the right to do that.
nice.
Here, Turbo is in the middle of this battle, trying to get behind enemy lines, rolls to safety, um, finds the destination, which is this pharmacy here, encounters the Ma and Pa proprietors and the Randy daughter, who throws herself at Turbo without any delay. Um, and that triggers a flashback. So we've kind of discussed this before, but this girl, Embra, is going to throw herself at Turbo, and then right here, this triggers the flashback scene where Turbo is brought back to reality. Snap out of it, Turbo! The berserkers are almost on top of us. So we see Turbo's here. This is grown Turbo. And this is where we left off at the end of issue 1, which Kurt is inking. And here we see, in the back window, the berserkers are closing in, and they're going to have to fight, and they're going to have to figure out how to do this. Here they say, there's about 20 of them. they're the hate breed, so they're not that smart. Basically, a cult of lifelong incels. Um, they're closing in, and here at the bottom, Turbo orders the mechanized driver Gopher to release or unlock the mace chains. And this is the panel I'm just working on now in pencils, where they unlock these mace chains because the cars and the motorcycles that are gaining on them will have their tires punctured. And so I'm going to start on that next page uh, forthwith. But before we do, I wanted to go over kind of like how this is all mapped out. And so this brings us to this little cheap 25-cent notebook here. The page that I just worked on was here, where Turbo's snapping out of it, and they have the hate breeders gaining on them, and then they unlock the mace chains. So what I'm going to draw for this next page is their tires do get popped, and that does take out a bunch of them. That is going to significantly reduce the number of crazy people in pursuit of them. But then there is going to be some fisticuffs where they jump up on the roof, and then this action is going to they're going to bust into the cab. They're going to incapacitate the robotic driver so that the trophy girl is going to have to take the wheel as they head up the mountain pass. My notes get a little messy here because I switched at this point to thumbnail view. And so that's what that looked like here. And this is going to be, yeah, so this is going to be like, multi-page sequence of fighting. And we don't need to get into blow by blow by blow, but here is where Turbo smashes somebody out of the cab, and she starts picking them off one by one. She gives the trophy girl a weapon to use against the motorcycles to kind of gum up their spokes with these little springy things that kind of they're like in these little capsules, and then when they're unleashed, they spring into this giant wire mess tumbleweed thing, and so that screws up their wheels, and they crash and they fall by the wayside. Then there's going to be a fire, and Turbo's going to put out the fire with one of the guy's bodies and just slam him into the fire. And eventually, we get to this page and this page and this page, and things slow down a little bit. So this is going to be a gigantic battle sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 page long. And then when we get out of it, we go back into this flashback sequence where young Turbo is going back from the pharmacy. She has her MacGuffin, which is this little package. She's going to be bringing it back to the orphanage, but the orphanage is going to be under siege from the RM forces, the regime militant forces, and then there's going to be a total gunfight, and the nuns who run the orphanage are going to pop out with all these weapons, and there's going to be a real gun battle here where both sides take heavy losses, and they're going to release the children right through this escape plan that they have, which I'll explain later. But basically, this is where they're stringing up. I don't know if you can see these little thumbnails here, but basically they're stringing up Sister Ray, and they're going to be trying to torture her to get her to explain where all the radioactive peas are. And her one last big move is going to be having everything booby trapped so that she's sacrificed and all these fighters are sacrificed, but the kids basically go to safety. And there's going to be this little quick scene where young Turbo gets the instructions from her to go find this person named Elevena, who is in a prison in a city, and that's going to be her mission. So we're already up to page 21 here. No, wait, this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, page 18. So yeah, we're more than halfway through the plot, blocking out the storyline of the second issue. and that's where we kind of are at as far as planning ahead, right? We're penciling like this, but we're planning ahead like this. And then since we're working on, a much, much broader graphic novel, the question is, well, how many pages is this going to be, and how many issues is this going to be, and what's going to happen in this story? And that's where we go to these kind of rougher notes here, which are our synopsises. And I finally did the forbidden. I went through them all, and I read all my notes. Remember, these notes were written 20 years ago plus, and you can see, like, these are all printed out on an old printer. But I went through them all, and I'm here to tell you, Kurt, that I got to a point here on these synopsises where I wasn't planning a graphic novel back then. Back then, I was just planning a series that conceivably never ends. So, in order to make this into a multi-issue graphic novel, I had to limit it, and I had, so I have a rough page count here. And the rough page count is going to be 180 pages. So, because we have issue 1 done, that's about 30 pages, 28, 30 pages. Then issue 2 will take us to, let's say, 60 or so, 90, 120, 150, 180. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 issues. And that's what it would take to take these synopsi I wrote and to break them down into individual issues, which each have their own, plot and have their own kind of like serial, link to the chain. And then the whole thing ends up here and it all wraps up here. And if people are reading all these notes, these little scrawlings, this will be how the whole thing wraps up in a conceivable page or issue 6, and that'll compile the whole graphic novel together. So what I did was,
What do you mean by, I'm sorry, what do you mean by compile the whole graph? It'll just consolidate it down to a complete resolution, or a resolution for 6 issues to be then a graphic
yeah,
novel?
yeah, that'll be the stopping point for the
B,
graphic novel.
B.
And yeah,
So it's not an ending altogether.
well, we're not killing off our
It's
main
just
characters, but we are. Yeah,
okay.
but it is, yeah, because I was looking up, like, what are the lengths of some of the more famous graphic novels. Watchmen is over 400 pages. It's like 440 pages. Um, on the other hand, Dark Knight, gee, I forget. I look these things up, but there's pretty popular graphic novels that get into a nice juicy story that do it all within like 150 pages. And then there's some
Yeah.
some that go much longer. So I figured 180 is probably, I when I was reading the synopses, however I'm saying that, um, things needed a little bit of time to play out. So I figured, 6 issues of about 28 pages should do it. We do have to be economical, but there's a lot here on these pages, a lot of like characters and pit fights and details and twists and turns and the whole love angle and the flashbacks. Um, there's going to be as I read, multiple love interests for young Turbo along the way, including one named Polska, who she spends multiple years with in a youthful adolescent relationship, hiding out and having adventures and fights and everything, while this whole world is going downhill, and there's going to be these large like um, forest deforestations that happen, when Turbo's young and they're hiding out, and there's going to be this whole tunnel system where young people, kind of exist, and we're going to get into these weapons that get developed, using these radioactive pellets, and and how that works and how that changes everything. And then there's going to be, the modern day scenes where, there's these big national, there's a first going to be a regional pit fights that Turbo is trying to get a spot in the national pit fight because there's just these unimaginable prizes. And so those are going to be like the modern day things. And then, mind you, all these pit fights, they all go bad, they all go south. Like there's going to be like rigging or attacks or like, you know surprises in each one. That's just like how it goes. So, I,
It's like
yeah,
wrestling.
it's like wrestling. And I'm also likening it, because I'm a big fan of duality. I'm a big fan of like Master of Kung Fu and Doug Mensch and like the duality that they had going on. And I'm likening like each one of these pit fights to kind of like an election, and everything always goes
Yeah.
bad, and in kind of like a roundabout way. And then I'm likening the underground, the resistance and the underground, to the political struggles, that we see today and all through history, of cycles of power and leaders, and corruption and being taken down, being replaced, cycling out. And so I am thinking about those kind of stuff in kind of like broad strokes, but I'm also just kind of like mapping this thing out little by little, page by page. So you got to go big picture, then you go small picture, and back and forth, zooming in, zooming out all the time. And right now I'm looking at a blank page, so I'm gonna take this action here and start mapping this out on the page. But I wanted to catch you up and and definitely get your feedback on what you think about the length and the just the scope of it and the way that we're approaching the planning.
I am
On the spot.
thoroughly
Oh, you're
excited.
thoroughly excited. Okay.
I really am. Eh, uh, the the only thing I have like reserve in, being completely on the side of like, yeah, we're gonna do this and yeah, we're gonna do this, is that I just don't want us to eliminate possibilities. And as we've been speaking for since the beginning of this podcast, is we're not completely tied down to everything, yet we're definitely interested in what you've committed yourself to in what you reviewed. But we'll give ourselves the opportunity to rearrange
Right.
elements.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
Also be
the
able to,
dialogue always keeps
yeah,
changing. The details, as you go through the continuity, and you're like, oh wait, that doesn't match with that we already did in the earlier things. We have to change that. So everything is like fluid until you're sending something to a printer. That's when it's
yeah.
kind of like a,
And even that is going to be, a whole nother,
oh yeah, right. Yeah,
space
the
that we end up in,
variations and
even for, yes, yes,
yeah.
yes, storytelling. I mean, just storytelling, I think is going to be one of the exciting things that we play. I was actually having a conversation with uh, another artist, um, a friend, and I work
Hmm.
with, and we were just, we go to lunch and we always talk about, um, what's going on in the world is in art, and trying to make a living at this. And he used the term variant,
Yeah.
and it was very much aligned to, you make a piece of content, and this goes right back to the end of the last episode, Jake, with Martin Goodman in the Marvel Universe,
Yeah. He was
um,
making variants of
where,
his own comic, of his own
oh yeah,
publication.
all the materials. I mean, that one page that had Kazar on
Yeah.
it, that Kazar was a pulp
Uh-huh.
character, for Jungle Comics, and which was a popular thing because of
Right.
Tarzan. Um, but we have yet to see, and it's I keep saying this, and I know it sounds like an excuse, but it's just the way life is. I've got to rearrange my schedule over this year so I can dedicate more time, to this project in particular and inking comics in general. Um, but a lot is going to change for us when we have the first issue completed. I'm not saying on the market. I'm just saying the back and forth that we're going to be going
Hmm.
through in being able to find ourselves in purveying our wares,
Yeah.
to
Yeah, that
society.
at that point you could print a floppy, you could start doing conventions, you could start doing that.
Well, I'm really interested in the artistic side of like limited edition handmade
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah, I mean
I've been looking at this
the
Riz.
characters are great to do pinups, and and there's all these possibilities for the pit fighters and stuff. Gory.
Well, I'm looking at it from the type of book, for lack of a better word, that somebody would want to get involved in, especially as a collectible
Hmm.
item, speculatively speaking. Like I said, I've been researching more on the Rizzo printer. It's a Japanese. It's basically what I've found. It's a radiograph Xerox machine, but it prints in uh, four color separations like a screen printer.
Yeah, yeah, I saw
So
that.
we are black and white, but it doesn't stop us from doing, different variants or a zine style teaser booklet that has different content in it than that. I think one of the things, and you're starting to come around, um, re-entry wise to the way not only comic book as an industry, but independent comics and the way people get their content
Hmm.
on, and it being tried and true and just easy, um, and us finding the best place to ground ourselves so then we have accessibility to um, a readership.
Yeah, well, that's all going to come with the completion of content and the next steps and the next steps, and it's constantly changing. I saw that Rizzo thing. It's because when you're doing multiple plates and multiple passes, you could do CMYK, sure, and then that gives you all the range of colors. But it looked like some people there were also doing spot color stuff, which is
Yeah.
interesting. And then you could do a duotone or a tritone, or and
Yes.
lots of
Yes.
different creative variations on that. You could just take a page and you could say, all right, here, this is going to be a full color print. And it's mind-boggling when you showed me all of those Kickstarter pages and all of those like
Yep.
stretch goals that these people are doing, and all of these other offerings, and you see how they just get, I guess you might even say bogged down, but they're like, they're
Yeah.
just creating all this stuff for all these members, and then it just keeps getting more and more, and then they kind of keep doing more and more stuff. And you wonder like, wow, how much time do they have to do the comic? How does that all get done? So, it's exciting. I'm heading towards summer right now, where I'm gonna have a lot more free time. I'm gonna have like a day a week where I can do this, for real, and put my day job on the side. And then, in a couple of years, I'll be able to retire. I think my retirement from teaching year is at the end of 2027. So that's coming, in the not too distant future. And I'm imagining doing comics all day, every day, going to conventions, doing, and I will have my rent paid, and I won't have to worry about that. But but I'll be trying to make money, doing this other creative stuff, and it's something to look forward to. But you know, certainly any comic that we have done now is going to be something that you can print forever. You can keep it in print, sell copies, or reprint, or keep selling variants, or keep selling versions and products. We're going to do the mature version, we're going to do the regular version. We'll have all kinds of things, and then the whole NFT thing. Who knows what it'll be by then, but it could be something. It could be maybe just the webtoon stuff, and it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, you could just really just get really just top. Yeah,
Excited.
there's a lot yet to
Well,
come, and it all starts with just creating art, drawing stories. So.
yeah, and I think both of us are rounding the same corner when it comes to the word retirement. I say to my wife all the time, as a matter of fact, just this past weekend, we were out having breakfast, and it was just such a beautiful day and time. And I said, you know what? This is exactly how I want to be retired. And I woke up in the morning and I worked on a comic book, my drawings, and then you and I went and had, you know, wonderful breakfast and drove around in the wilderness, and it was just very
Mm-hmm.
minimal. And I think both of us share that we're not trying to you know up our golfing game and get on that circuit and
Right.
stuff. But it becomes even more exciting to think of the amount of potential that lies in just us as two creative individuals that have experienced what we have experienced in the world of making a living as an artist,
Mm-hmm.
and then our willingness to want to work with uh, um, other platforms to not only help promote, but to bring our content maybe closer to the right
Mm-hmm.
people, for this and everything. Are you familiar with the streaming channels like Twitch and
No, I haven't. I
Discord?
haven't been on Twitch, but I've been on Discord, and I know they have the
Yeah.
audio feature where you can have a big group or in a big audio chat. It's interesting. It's kind of like reminds me of like maybe what short band radio used to be, but
Yeah.
everybody's on like a conference call, right? And everybody's in a like-minded. So that's a Discord is a really big part of NFT projects, and reaching audiences, having like interactive um, channels of communication with audiences and stuff.
Well, one of my theories, and I have little to no experience with Twitch, but my theory is that you and I will end up on a streaming platform, or let me just say a platform where our fan base will be basically what's paying and driving the content. The comic book material, the floppies, the digital, the NFT, whatever, becomes the accessories and merchandise to being involved with, you know, hanging out with, uh, Jake and
Hmm.
Kurt as they're working on the next issue of, you know, universe wise, whether it's Turbo or something else. Um, it becomes way more the truer feeling of Artist Alley,
Right.
and so that's something
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
will
And
be meeting down the road.
and I was wondering too about jumping online and just like because when you're online and you're streaming, and you're creating, you could have this process where you're like talking out loud and it's like, oh, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, and you're sketching and you're drawing and you're kind of like solidifying things. And how interesting it could be to have some people on the line, to work off of, or even having a creative team that uses like a Discord or
Yes.
something like that, where
Yes.
all right, we got to have a creative meeting. We have to figure out, how this issue comes together or how this series is going to work or something. And I can really see, being part of planning a whole other series, as I'm doing this, because I'm just looking at the Stanley Jack Kirby workflow, and I'm going back in time, and I'm like, well, if those guys had, you know, X-Men #1 coming out by this date, and they already had Thor in the pipeline, and Hulk in the pipeline, and Iron Man in the pipeline, and Avengers in the pipeline, and Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, how much time did it really take them to get from A to B to C for the X-Men #1? And the answer is very, very short, and it's just a reminder that, creative people, you can have a lot of different irons, in the fire. The thing that really takes a long time is the pencils and the inks. The other stuff, it's just words on paper, or breakdowns, or even just typed pages, or even just discussions, right? That someone's taking notes, right? The big contours of something, right? Oh, I have a character named so and so, and they're gonna do there's gonna be a comic where they do this, and this, and there's gonna be some bad guys, and they do that, and that, right? That right there is enough for a Jack Kirby level artist to go say, okay, let me go do the first 3 issues. I'll see you later. Okay, right? And so, the question
Yeah.
is like, who's the Jack Kirby of today, and how can we connect with them? We're looking for like independent creators that are, pencilers and artists that have a good, style, have a like a good and quick style, and they're looking to do comics and, invest their time. And because I have this other idea that's bubbling up now, and it's a superhero team thing. I keep saying like it's modeled on the Defenders, the very early Defenders, but it's also very different. And I have 4 characters, 3 girls and a guy, 3 females and a male character. And so I'm hoping to like, continue like, doing the plots and the breakdowns, and maybe how an issue or two will go, and keep developing it. That's what they call development. It's like, you're in different stages, but I have some character designs, and I have some ideas, and you know some definitely have the inspiration of the 1970s Marvel workflow, and just another thing. I might have to wait until some of my students are a little bit older and they're good enough, to hire. But I am also waiting for when they're having these next Comic Cons, and especially at this high school one that they do in New York City, because there's a lot of young folks there, and see who's interested in publishing. It's a lot of fun, to do, even if you don't make a dime. It's good for somebody to develop, and for me, it's collabs, working with other people, and then having ideas and sharing them, and seeing where you can go with others.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the bigger things is definitely artist management.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, both of us have background and experience in, you know, making a living as an artist, but it's also managing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, let's say business, and I know one of my bigger growth points has always been, and was one of the major reasons I went to Trader Joe's as a manager for a couple of years, was do their management
Hmm.
training so I could learn how to manage people,
Right.
you know, in an ethical way, but also to get shit done.
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest gripe about working with comic book people, artists, writers, is the talk. I mean, we have the gift for not only gab, but yeah, we'll do this, and yeah, and then we'll do this, yeah, and then we'll go to Tokyo and sell them there, and yeah, and then we'll do an anime and do that, and then you get, not even 2 weeks, but somewhere around there, yeah, like, all right, man, I got this. That's what I said I was doing. What do you guys got? Oh man, I wasn't able to
Right. I was on a motorcycle accident.
we're
Yeah.
good at it. No, not even that tragic. Just more like, in other words, I forgot,
Yeah.
or it just didn't structure the time.
Things
Uh,
didn't pan out like I
but
thought.
one of the things I've been looking for is are people who could do, digitally speaking, uh, strong
Hmm.
pencils, strong layouts that would lean towards pencils, because really all I need, is a sense of value, gray
Hmm.
values. Um, and then, I just like going to town, and playing around and pushing ideas, and, which is just all about the mark of the pens and stuff. But, I have definitely gotten to a place in my life where, um, the the penciling part, the layouts especially, it becomes an extreme amount of time. And by the time I get to, the inking phase, I just, you know, I usually just have too many ideas and not enough
Yeah.
time, and then to be able to segue. So once again, that's why I'm excited about this relationship, with you, is because here I've got, 28 pages. All I have to do is get up in the morning and, grab a pen,
Pages are
pick
done.
a
Yeah.
spot, and start hacking away. Um, but when it would come to, like what you have going in the way of like, stories and even layouts, because there was some stuff you and I had gotten into where you were just like, I'm sending you just Xerox 8.5 by 11 Xerox, just blow them up,
Hmm.
Kurt, and then and make the pages, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, and it was kind of fun because once again, um, I was able to add my own layer of invention to
Right.
it. But I think, having things that are a little more,
Hey, now that you say that,
complete.
I wonder if I should. I wonder if I should try to get you the full size pages instead as you're working on that. It might make a difference to see a lot more detail.
What do you mean?
Well, if that's what I gave you and you just blew that up, I wonder if you're getting all the detail that you could be having if I sent you the pencils.
Well, I have the pencils. These are the
Right,
pencils.
but are they full size? Or I wonder there was
Yeah,
no loss in
it was. I mean, they're pretty. They're raw, like they're raw scans. I have to clean them up a bit in
yeah,
Photoshop,
maybe
but
I
enough.
might be able to give you some better starting points to work with.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now you also have to get a scanner. Have you gotten a scanner yet?
No, I haven't gotten a scan. I'm
Why
waiting till
not?
school's over before I start doing all this stuff. I have two
Oh, you're trying not to, get yourself
Well, two
too,
more weeks.
excited
Yeah, the
anymore.
27th, the 28th is my last day, and
All
then
right.
I'm free for a
Okay.
couple of months.
All right. I'm putting it in my
I'm
calendar.
chained, but yeah, that is definitely something to think about because there just might be some more detail or info on the page. I'm wondering, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing well enough. There's just, I know you were planning on this being a color comic, So there are times I get to a point where I'm like, oops, I need to, just sort of make a decision and black something out to be able to cause a reaction for
Yeah.
values, composition
Yeah, I
wise.
was thinking actually about trying a duotone thing where there's just a dark color and then a secondary color. And I never really got to experiment with that, but I was definitely thinking about it. I wanted this to be printed on glossy paper, like Image Comics, and maybe have like a dark, dark, dark purple, almost black, but very, very dark purple, and then like maybe an orangey color, like a gold or tan, that would have overlays, and then you don't just have the hard dark line art of the dark color. You also have the tints of that color, and then and then you have the whole orange plate, which is it could be anywhere from 0 to 100% too, also. So
Hmm.
and I was thinking, wow, they do all that stuff in poster design. They do all that stuff in spot color art and printing and publishing, but you never really see a comic like that. I mean,
Now there are,
yeah,
there are,
yeah, I
there's,
know, I know. I think,
it's not in the mainstream. It's just not
yeah,
in the
Raw. I think
mainstream.
Raw is an example that did that with like two color sequences and stuff. I'm sure it's been done, but it sounds like a little more alternative or a little more artistic.
Yep, that's definitely what I'm looking
Yeah.
for, or looking forward to as well, is just getting a little bit more um, artsy fartsy with this.
Mhm.
Um, I think the game of trying to uh, get sales, on a recouping at $3 per issue or $5 per issue, it's it still takes a lot of
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah.
It's not, to get 500 comic books printed is insane. I God, did my first Crom run, I think, was 100 comic books, and it took me 2.5 years to sell them. And it was throughout doing
Mhm.
conventions and then selling online. So,
Right. And then, but then if you sell them all, then you don't have any left. So then you have to print it again. So maybe.
well, I made a variant. I made a variant version. So the first issue I put together was just a collection of the original Crom back from the
Mhm.
1950s, and then I was working on my own stories, hustling them, uh, and trying to get. I was very much trying to lead the way with a small group of people, um,
Mhm.
and don't want to. I'll get into it at another
Collective
time because I think
artist artist collective.
we're called. Yeah, because I was doing the conventions again, Baltimore and Philly, and a lot of small
Mhm.
ones, and everybody. This group of people, um, they were always there, and it just me and my big mouth, and why don't we try this? Why don't we do this? And so on and so forth. Um, and of course, didn't work out. But I'll get into all that details another day. But um, it just gets down to uh, holding on to product, yes, but creating enough of a buzz and then doing a pre-order. And if you got 50 people who are interested in your book, well, then run off 100
Yeah.
comics.
Sure.
And that's where the Kickstarter thing comes
Yeah.
in.
But once the content
But
is done, you could conceivably print it, wait a couple of years, print it again. Just keep on packaging it.
yeah, because what I did was I did four of my own Crom stories, black and white, and released those. And then I did that was its own comic with its own cover, and then I did a collection of both comics. So the first two have been out of print for a couple of years, but you can now get the collected
Right.
issue, which was in a die. I had put them all into a digest
Right.
form. So I'm even thinking about re-inking all of the pages and then doing my own, doing another version. And but I want to do it in correspondence to like the Rizzo
Right.
printer. So I want to redo because they're all 10-page
Hmm.
stories. So these would be like a fanzine type of release. Released those four stories again, re-inked. Doing a second color involved and then collect it all, from there. So we'll see. But we're hitting the 45-minute mark, Jake.
Yeah, man.
Is there anything in shop upkeep that you want to
No, just
speak
check
to?
out our videos, check out our previous episodes, and you know, and you know, if you're a comic creator, chime in, say hi, let us know what you're working on, and see what you're doing, and everybody support indie comics. That's what I say.
I agree. Well, with that being said, we release a new episode every Sunday on YouTube at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we are rolling forward. This is episode 12, so we're excited about this, and we look forward to meeting with everybody next week. So I say goodbye. What do you say,
I
Jake?
say farewell. You say goodbye. I say farewell.
All right, we'll see
All
ya.
right. Ciao
Bye.
for now.